about the book, actually. You can read it later. See what happened. So I always figured, books are really great if they're published, because then you don't have to think about those things anymore. And you've cleaned your mind, and readers can take care of it, and you can be fresh, revirginate. That can get old too. So my friend David Franks, great poet, performer, extraordinary person from Baltimore, lived in Baltimore, friend of Robert Curley, friend of poets. He died not long ago, and so I wrote his poem. Oh goodness, he died January 31st, 2010. And on January 29 this year, another dear friend of mine, Anselm Hall, also died. So end of January doesn't seem to be a good time for my friends. David Franks, and this I wrote for Betsy Boyd, who was his girlfriend at the time, but probably not actually, she just took care of him because he was ill, and she was great. So David Franks, since January 31, 2010 for Betsy Boyd. This world is how the dead communicate, with something neither us nor them. Everything sensible is a message from the dead. And everything dead is a message from us for something beyond them that is beyond us. We are whatever they say, and they are whatever we say. And we know not who we say it to. I'm a letter, you're a letter. We crossed in the mail. Sealed and going, plain and enigmatic. But just between us, we are either here or there. The messages are not meant for either. Machines are how the world communicates with itself. But some machines, like guitars, bring messages from the dead faster than we hear to ourselves. All musical instruments do, including the human voice. I said, if anybody can get a message through David, David will. So here it is. If you like it here, get demachined. If not, let song wing it. Mental geography is geography. The same topos as what's outside the window, going on, named out there and unnamed in the mind. No ideas, but in things indeed, including things of the mind. Mind topos and geofeatures going on without a break, all of them here and there. Both, hi, tree, and what did I just say? The wave of event made of all particles sensible and undetected. It's the stuff that travels back and forth that interests the back and the forth. The messaging, and those lips. I put that letter in, and then we're three. Eros, Cupid, and Psyche. On their way somewhere, busy, or da capo. This world is just what the dead say, not to anyone, just talking. Do we talk back? Oh yes, we do. It's hard to deal with the dead, I get a little older, and you guys start to, your friends die, and then there's certain things you can do and certain things you can't do, and you don't want to think about it. And one thing you don't want to do is fix your address book. But guys like David, I have no problem with talking while they're dead, because I know that he's just the same thing, whatever he was before he actually did that. It's called Driving, and it's about driving from Arkansas to Louisiana, through Louisiana to New Orleans. It's called Driving. The lie is brief and sweet. The truth is forever and hard. In Dry Pond, Louisiana, on March 7, 2011. The lie can last a long time, says Laura. You mean like a religion? that and other things like that. Prisons, hospitals, churches, simultaneous afterthoughts. Only trees seem to be trees whose inmates didn't build them. This, somewhat cryptic, but I mean, all those institutions that I mentioned were actually built by their inmates. And I first had this thought when I was teaching at Folsom Prison in California. I was a poet in prison, paid poet in prison. And, but Folsom is a strange place. It's a city. Folsom Prison is a city, and it was built mostly by Chinese prisoners after the railroads were built, and it's a little overwrought. It has a slightly Victorian kind of overdone feeling about it. And in the middle of Folsom, which is a maximum security federal prison, there's another building which is called, euphemistically, the Adjustment Center. And that's where they keep the celebrities. All the stars were there, Manson and Sirhan and so on, at the time. And when I went there to do my, so-called teaching or whatever I was doing there, I was met by the librarian to the prison, who was a very, sort of a quiet guy, who was a philosopher of sorts, who could recite large passages from Arnold Toynbee. And I just wanted to know from him what the prisoners read, and I wanted to know, for instance, what Charles Manson took out of the library. But he didn't tell me. I mean, he didn't want to talk about that too much. I mean, eventually he told me a few things, but it was a very much this world that had been built by the inmates, and everything that had been built in some way had been done, and then there were some things that were secret about the architecture. It was almost like the building of the cathedrals, there were secret formulas that went in there, which is something that we don't quite, have anymore. I mean, secrets. This is a recent thought. I taught in Folsom Prison some time ago, but a recent thought about secrets. I'll tell you what I think about secrets, secretly to you. If I can find my secrets. Well, if they are indeed, I probably won't be able to find them, but it's called Keep Old Hat in Secret Closet. Ted Berrigan, 20th century. 1. Facebook. In the 20th century, people used to have secrets. When people used to have secrets, they went to the grave with them. Unless their secrets tormented them. Then they took them to a priest, a psychoanalyst, or a bartender. And if the police wanted to know your secrets, they tortured you until you spilled them. And then killed or blackmailed you. But now, in the 21st century, everyone is happy to share. In the 21st century, people are only worried that their secrets will stay secret. People worry in the 21st century that they have no secrets at all. Self-exposure stripped them. Exposure was insufficient. The closets are empty. Or even worse, everyone is spilling their secrets simultaneously, so nobody can be overheard discreetly. There are too few vices and too much competition. Manufacturing secrets is big business now. Bigger than the technologies for overhearing them. Spies are passé. Fiction writers are in. We are forgetting what language secrets speak, or how to present a secret in just the right key. How to pitch it in a whisper or a voice that will draw the kind of attention only a secret should. Secrets become quickly boring. The bigger the media that reveals them, the more boring. Because everyone can tell what kind of secrets they are just by the way they go shh, to the dismay of agents who know just how to sell a secret if you have one, or how to make one up if you don't. But what avails an agent the art of PR if boredom overtakes it? Agents are losing their grip on the lubricious. Nothing is viral enough because viruses mutate too fast. Nobody knows what to hide anymore. The whole world is a hiding place. No secret can even pretend to be a secret because no one will believe it. But what else can a secret be but a secret? Oh, my people of the 21st century, nobody cares about us because why should anyone care for someone without secrets? We don't even know what is or should be secret and what taboos still pertain with enough force to make a secret effectively thrilling and anguished. Even killers go on reality shows and nobody believes them. The priests, shrinks, and bartenders of yore never listened that good anyway, unless there was money in it. So we can go to them for advice because they forgot us as soon as the money was spent. And I'll just end with this whole prose work. This section of my, just me, and then we can maybe talk together if I can see anyone, because right now I just see us. I see a few heads. This is a work about, what used to be called the avant-garde, and this is called the avant-garde now and then, in case you're still wondering in your art critical minds about whether you should give the money or keep it. The problem with being ahead of your time is that you're eventually going to get there again with everybody else and experience extreme ennui. I mean, there is no way to be ahead of your time in your mind and take your body along. Your body has to get there with every other body. And when it does, it goes, yeah, right, been there, done that. This is chiefly the problem with the virtual world that everybody's moving into. The gadgets are all the rage and everyone's so thrilled by them that they don't realize how much is going away while they're busy tapping the glass or wheeling their arms to get into the make-believe world. Here are a few things that are going away. Getting paid for what you create. The physical proof of your creation. Your solitary pursuits. Your freedom to be anonymous, your own chosen speed, and your spontaneity, not to speak of the pleasure or embarrassment of changing your mind. In the old meat world, you could lay hands on things and use all your senses to explore them and then smash them to hard bits when you felt like it, or love them to death like a sweaty octopus in New Orleans in July. No such luck. In a virtual world that's more coherent than you'll ever be, might as well give in and subdue your undisciplined incoherence to the rules of the game. We're so enchanted with realities constructed by engineers that we don't know how to get back to the one made by the crazy gods, or whatever it was that spewed all this funny goop out in the first place. It isn't any great shakes predicting the future, but it's a real drag living in it, after you visited it in your mind. My first reality replacement must have been the light switch in our apartment. You turned it on and it wasn't night anymore. For the longest time I could live with that, keeping two contradictory realities in mind simultaneously. It was night and it was day, too. It was dark and it was light at the same time. But those realities started looking sinister when they began to exchange places. You flipped a switch to make it dark at night, and vice versa. The reality replacing machine made things interesting at first. But now that I'm there, mind and body, I find the whole thing frightening. Where is my vitamin D? I know it's still day and night for animals. So maybe I'll just turn into a dog, okay? There is no such thing as an avant-garde body. Thank you. applying for a job I'll never get is a drink in my hand. So, let's have our conversation, Jeff, if you don't mind. I mean, this is pretty good time to do it. I think I just kind of took your time from my 45 minutes.
Let's hear it again for So I'm really interested in, you're talking a lot about the pitfalls of the virtual world, and there's been a lot of talk lately about, just to name a few things, our online presence after we die. So I want to see how you feel about that, because it's becoming an issue. Blogs, Facebook profiles, etc. And I also want to get your reaction to an idea that I've been thinking about. The printing press was a new technology when Gutenberg started using it. Artists throughout humanity's history have always embraced or grabbed whatever technology they could afford, whatever they could use. But are poets going to come along with technology? Because you've talked a lot recently about how the internet is killing creativity. The virtual world is no longer a place where you can have private thoughts. You've even said that you want your thoughts to keep themselves to themselves. Just a couple of months ago. So
Highly fascinating. But yeah, I mean, no, I've never. There are a number of issues. Actually, it's a very complex question. Bibliodeath, the book deals exactly with that, is what is virtual and what is not. I mean, the fact is that when the printing technology came around, the book was a virtual object. And, the imagination of the writer will make a virtual world, and you can put that in a book and distribute it. So it was really a matter of how quickly you could disseminate your virtuality and how much people are willing to suspend disbelief in that virtuality. So the book is a virtual object. The electronic reproduction of the book is a virtuality as well. It's a different kind of virtuality, but there comes a point when you begin to realize that most of really what matters is not articulated. And that is really not part of any virtuality. The virtuality is a kind of prison. And so, you can be imprisoned pleasantly in a book, you can be imprisoned pleasantly in somebody's stories if you don't interrupt it, which, I do. I believe in interruption. And then, you begin to see the different kinds of virtualities you live in. The virtual world of your job, of your life, of your body, maybe even of this particular planet, So we live in a series of increasingly coherent virtualities. And this last one, though, is very authoritative. The internet has an authority that I don't think the book had, or there was always a certain amount of freedom that you could get outside of those things. Mm-hmm. Well, I think the internet has actually sort of put the glass walls around everyone. It's very hard to escape it in any way whatsoever. You can get off Facebook and Twitter and all that stuff, and you'll still be, followed and on record. In Romania, I took a cab in 1991, and I told the cab driver I was crazy because he said, that eye on television that you see on ABC News, it's actually watching you. Well, it is. I didn't think it at the time, but now there is, of course, eye tracking technology to actually track you while you're on the screen, and so you're not even articulating it, you're already read before you've even expressed it. And so that seems to be a serious loss of freedom.
So, why did you leave New Orleans and the university? Why the Ozarks?
Well, no, I left New Orleans because I wanted to live a little longer, but it's an awfully tempting town. I mean, it's filled with pleasures that will kill you. So,
but you don't strike me as a Gary Snyder, back to nature kind of poet?
No,
living in
not
the
Gary.
mountains.
No,
You're living in the mountains.
Gary's way too severe for my take on things. But I do like living in the woods, and I like the river, and I like all of that. And I'm sort of discovering that formally nature is more interesting than actually things that people make, because you look around and things that trees and rocks do are spectacular, and you don't really want to move them out of place. Although when I first moved there, I thought I was making art, quote unquote, by doing certain things that found roots, and I was making things, and then I thought, but most things look all right.